What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F1 23, my team career mode for Season 2, Round Number 1, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We are now into Season 2, we are beginning Season 2 this time around, and we start off because we've already done all the upgrades in the previous video. We go and look at the R&D, and this is how it looks. Mercedes are up the top there, Aston Martin right there with them in second, Red Bull have dropped down to third, we are right there with Red Bull in fourth, and then you've got Ferrari, Alpine and McLaren all on top of each other. A bit of a gap to Haas, then Williams, then a bigger gap to Alfa Romeo and AlphaTauri at the bottom, but I guess the big one there is Ferrari, the championship, both championship winners, drivers and constructors from Season 1, are down in 5th on R&D, but are right there with Alpine and McLaren. So yeah, interesting there to see how that will all go. And we are the 4th quickest on R&D, but we are right on top of Red Bull. We pretty much have the same R&D, so interested to see how we would go here in Saudi Arabia. Of course, a very fast track. As we do our Q1 lap though, halfway through the lap, the DRS breaks on our car. It is stuck closed, so now I do not have DRS as my engineer is just telling me now that it is stuck closed. We did manage to get through as Esteban Ocon goes quickest in Q1, so that's pretty interesting. In the Alpine, we only just make it through Q1 in P15 because of that DRS issue. So that's a little bit worrying, but thankfully as we get into Q2, the DRS has been fixed and we have no further issues in qualifying, and we are quite up on our time here. But yeah, like I was saying, this is a very fast track. You need a good engine on this track, and we know we've got a good engine. Even this season, we've still got a very good engine because we upgraded all the parts after the regulation change, and I think we might have the 2nd quickest engine on the grid. Fairly sure Aston Martin actually have the quickest. So yeah, but we are right up there with our engine. There is also a lot of mostly high-speed corners on this track though that you have to be very careful with, and our car isn't the best on chassis, and aero's decent, but it's definitely not the best. There are a lot of cars better than us, especially on chassis. We do get through to Q3 though, and so does Yuki Tsunoda, up there in P3, so that's good from him. But look at this, Fernando Alonso is out in Q2, and both Ferraris are out as well. That is big. The championship winner, the defending champion Charles Leclerc, is out in Q2 in P13, and Fernando Alonso has been beaten in qualifying by his teammate for the first time. He whitewashed Stroll last season, and yeah, 16-0 to Alonso last season. Stroll's beat him in the first race here, so that is not good for Alonso, especially when they have supposedly the 2nd quickest car on paper. So this is a very different track to, you know, a lot of other tracks though, so maybe their car just isn't good here, but the fact that Stroll has managed to get through and Alonso hasn't tells me that maybe Alonso is having some issues. But we have our Q3 one here, and so far it's going pretty well. It's not been perfect, but it's been a pretty good run. We're about 2.5 tenths up on a lap that I set before this, which was on used tyres. It was decent through that section there as well. We are now just over 3 tenths up on our lap time. So at the moment, we're looking decent. We're not challenging for the top spots, but we're looking decent for about a P6, P7. We head through this corner though, and I understeer a little bit. We get stuck on the curb. That unsettles the car. We lose about, in the end, about 1/10.5 through that sector, through that section there. And then as we come to the end of the lap, I'm just trying to get as good of a run through here as I can. Maybe run a little bit too deep through that part of the corner, a little bit on the curb on the exit as well. It's a decent run to the line, but yeah, we've lost about 1/10.5, maybe 2 tenths. I think it's only really about 1/10.5 there, and that is all the difference here because it's very close. We ended up P10, and Yuki Tsunoda's P3. It is a Mercedes 1-2 on the grid. If we had a better run through that section where we, you know, didn't lose that 10.5, we would have been about P6, P7. So P10 on the grid for us. Tsunoda's done great for P3, but let's see what the pace is in the race for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
No more testing, no more practice. This is the real deal, and it's make or break here at round 1 of this year's Formula One World Championship. So let's take a look at the topographical map of the Jeddah Street Circuit. As you can see, a number of challenging corners for the drivers to master here. We'll see just how much the teams have benefited from their time spent in practice this weekend. And like many street circuits, this track has the potential to punish drivers that get it wrong. Let's hope we avoid any safety cars today. Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position. And Lewis Hamilton completes the front row. Moving on to the rest of the grid, we have Tsunoda, Gasly, Norris, Perez, Ocon, Verstappen, Stroll, Davies, Fernando Alonso, Sainz, Leclerc, Oscar Piastri, Albon, Zhou, Bottas, Sargent, Magnussen, Doohan, Liam Lawson, and Nick de Vries. It's almost time for those 5 red lights to go out then. Let's see who can prevail today. A new season then, a clean slate where anything could happen. Anthony Davidson is with me today as once again we get another year of Formula One underway.
We're into those tense few minutes before the first race then. Everyone's a little bit nervous about reliability. They haven't been running in the hot, turbulent wake of other cars in practice, and they've not been pushing at 100% for long durations. Let's hope no one has to deal with any nasty surprises.
Alright, it's the first round of Season 2 to 5 red lights for the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, and away we go. We're starting on the medium compound tyres, which most of the top 10 are, apart from Lewis Hamilton on the softs in second place. We get a good start. We're alongside Esteban Ocon as we head through turn 1 and head through turn 2. He's still there on the outside. We're just going to try and deploy a little bit more battery here. He's still trying to keep his nose in, but we managed to get past him up to P8, so we've made up 2 positions off the start on Ocon and Stroll. But then this is the section where I am rather weak as we run quite wide through that corner there. This particular bit, that bit right there, is definitely my weakest part of the track. Even that point later on where we had the small issue in qualifying, that is not as big of an issue for me as that kind of first sector is. So we managed to just about get through. We've lost a bit of time to Verstappen and Perez, the 2 cars up ahead, but it's been a reasonable start. That corner there as well, didn't have issues with in qualifying, but in the race, I don't know if it's just on the medium tyres or what, but really was struggling through that corner as well. Just, you know, going in a bit too late and then having a bit of a slide around the corner as we then have a bit of a correction. It's been a pretty scruffy first lap for us. We're having to deploy quite a lot of battery here because Ocon is right here behind us, but he's got Stroll right on the back of him as well. So we might be able to just about stay ahead here as we head onto the second lap. A little bit of a tag on the wall on the outside, but no damage done there. So it's been a not the best first lap, but yeah, it's not been awful. We've at least made up 2 positions. As Lando Norris just behind us is actually now the car going... No, sorry, he's in front of us. Norris is having to go at Gasly. Now, I've got to get used to Gasly here because he's actually changed from having the yellow T-cam to now he just has the normal black T-cam for Pierre Gasly. So that's going to be something to get used to. He's changed that from Season 1 to Season 2 as we head through this section here, and Esteban Ocon is all over the back of us and even deploying ERS. Ocon's going to have a look up the inside into the hairpin, but we're just going to try and hang it outside, and we can get a pretty good run off this corner actually. Although we're not too good into that corner, we do generally have a pretty good run out of it, so we stay ahead of Ocon. As the battle for the lead is brewing between the 2 Mercedes, who have already made quite the gap to Yuki Tsunoda behind. Hamilton, though, like I said, is on the soft compound tyres. Russell's on the mediums, so is pretty much everybody else in the top 10. And Hamilton has got up to the lead of the race, but the second dose of DRS for Russell is going to mean that he's going to challenge his teammate into turn 1, but he won't quite go for it, and Hamilton will now lead the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. As we continue on here, there's yellow flags behind us though, as we're just trying to hook up behind Verstappen here. Got the DRS, not really making up too many moves, but it's a red flag. We have our first red flag of the game here in Saudi Arabia, and this is why we have got, who is this? It is Fernando Alonso actually going for a move on his old teammate Esteban Ocon, but he spun around the final corner, hit the hit the wall there on the outside and has now just caused a massive traffic jam. One of the Ferraris, I think that's Leclerc's, managed to get through, but everybody else is stuck here. They're now all ghosting, and that turns it to a red flag. And, well, the strategy is saying go onto a set of hard tyres and go to the end of the race. So that's what we're going to do here. We're not looking to stop anymore in this race as we get going for the second time in Saudi Arabia. Now from P8 on the grid, it's a good initial launch from us here. Most other people are also on the hard, so there's a bad launch for a lot of cars up ahead, including my teammate. We bang wheels with Norris through turn 1. We've managed to get up into P5 off the start. We had an amazing start compared to Norris, Perez, Verstappen and Tsunoda. We've got past them all, and we now run P5 at the restart of this race on lap number 6. Lost a little bit of time to Norris there in this first lap because it always takes me a while to get the tyres up to temperature. And we have Perez all over the back of us. There's yellow flags behind us once again though, so I'm not sure what that's for. Looks like this time there's not gonna, no there is gonna be a safety car now. So we just came off the red flag, and on the same lap that we've just had the restart, we now have a safety car. This is turning into a bit of a crazy Saudi Arabian Grand Prix and a crazy start to this next season. And it's Fernando Alonso again. What is going on here? As he heads around the corner here, and his car just steps out. He goes into the wall. He then reverses into one of the Hasses. What is going on? Looks like there's no damage to Alonso's car. No front wing damage anyway, but he's just smacked into the back of, I believe this is Jack Doohan, our old teammate, just queuing up here, and Alonso just reverses straight into him, breaks Doohan's front wing. So Doohan's going to have to come in for a front wing change. What is happening to Alonso there? That's 2 spins already. As we get going on the restart here, we're hounding Norris all the way into turn 1. We're going to have a look up the inside of him. He's going to keep his car there though and stay on the racing line, and there's not much we can do. He's on the medium tyres as well. Not sure if he has gone onto a different set of mediums or if he's still on the same set that he started the race on. But yeah, he didn't change compound in the red flag. So no matter what, he's gonna have to come in for another pit stop as Yuki Tsunoda gets himself back past Sergio Perez after losing that position at the red flag restart, and he's now the car behind us and is putting a bit of pressure on us, to be honest, as we now have a look at the minimap, and that's another Aston Martin, and that's Alonso again for the 3rd time in this race spinning around. What is happening to Fernando Alonso in this race? As now Sergio Perez is trying to come back at my teammate Yuki Tsunoda as he's going to try and go round the outside of the hairpin. He's still got his car there. He's going to have the inside for the next section as well. Is Tsunoda going to fight this? No, he's not. And I've actually heard over the radio that Tsunoda has an issue, so that's very unfortunate for him. Looks like he might be dropping down the order here with a mechanical issue. As at the front, Hamilton coming back at Russell again because Russell got back into the lead at some point. Hamilton now trying to get back past his teammate. The Mercedes both out the front here, but they don't have the gap that they did before. And yeah, you've got a few cars behind. Pierre Gasly of all is the car in 3rd place, and you've got Norris in 4th. So looking very good for Alpine and McLaren at the moment as we see Tsunoda and Perez jockeying behind as well. Hamilton though has gone into the lead of this race now, and here is that little move for Tsunoda as he, oh no, this might be, no, sorry, this is a little bit later on as he's now coming under fire from Esteban Ocon, and Tsunoda is unfortunately just falling down the order here because he has got a mechanical issue. So Perez is past. Ocon now trying to get past as well. He'll go around the outside of that corner right there, and now he's got Max Verstappen the car behind him, so it's all just going backwards for Tsunoda. So unfortunate in his first race for our team. As we continue on here, Alonso is now being lapped by us. We've lapped Fernando Alonso. Here we go, and here's a little bit of a replay because can you guess what happens now? Sure enough, the same corner he spun last time, he does the exact same thing again just after we overtake him. Once again, he's just sat there on the track. I do not know what is going on with Fernando Alonso. He is having an absolutely terrible time. But at the front, George Russell is now being challenged for P2 by Pierre Gasly. He's trying to go round the outside of the hairpin. Hamilton is kind of running off now in the lead of this race, but Gasly will be trying to get this position as they head down to turn 1. I'm pretty sure Russell is on the hard compound tyres. Yes, he is. Gasly's on the mediums, so not sure if he has to come in for another pit stop or not. I think he will. And then Hamilton up ahead, he is on the mediums, so maybe he can go to the end since he started on softs. Now, Lando Norris is now all over the back of Fernando Alonso. Of course, Alonso has been lapped, and he's spun again. Alonso has spun again for, well, I think the 4th time that we've seen, but I reckon he spun more than this because, yeah, looking back at my kind of footage, there's a lot of yellow flags going on everywhere, and most of the time it's an Aston Martin as Esteban Ocon heads through when Alonso's spun and he's gone into the back of Charles Leclerc, and that's broken his car. So Ocon is now out of the race because he just comes around, smacks into the back of Leclerc. Alonso is just a complete roadblock. I don't know what is going on, and that is going to bring out a second safety car. And I think, you know what? I'm going to come in for a pit stop here. I reckon we can go onto a set of soft compound tyres. They should more than last until the end of this race. And it said we were only going to lose about 3-4 positions. So I thought, you know what? We're only going to drop down to P8 apparently. It was a slightly slow stop here, and it's going to be this battle here with Norris, you can see coming down on the right side there, and we just about managed to get out ahead of Norris, but that's P8, and we are now on a set of soft tyres. Nobody else has come out onto a brand new set of tyres. Now Lance Stroll under the safety car has had a mechanical issue. It is an awful weekend for Aston Martin, the second best car on the grid, and now one of the Alfa Romeos has gone into the back of him and destroyed his car. That is Zhou Guan Yu now going into the back of Stroll with the smoke, with Stroll just in the middle of the road, and he's now out of the race as well. This is turning out to be a rather interesting, strange race as the safety car is coming in on this lap. We have Gasly, the car ahead of us. We're sitting in P7 now with Stroll out of the race. And we're going to try and go for the win here. We've got 5-6 laps, including this one, of this race left to try and win because nobody else came in for soft compound tyres. Gasly came in for hards because that was his mandatory pit stop. But everybody else is either they're on mediums or hards. So let's see what we can do here as Gasly is going for a move on Tsunoda. Tsunoda got back ahead of us in that pit stop phase. We're now going to go for the switchback on Tsunoda as he's a little bit caught out, but we're going to be 3 wide with Norris and Tsunoda as we head into this next corner. I've just got to back out of that because that was going to end in disaster, but I'm trying to sniff an opportunity here. There's yellow flags behind us again. I reckon that was Alonso again spinning. I don't know what's going on with him in this race. He is absolutely in the mud here this season, as we're just watching Norris and Tsunoda battle it out in front. We sense a move on Tsunoda who goes a bit too deep defending from Norris into that corner, and now we're going to see if with ERS, no DRS deployed yet, we can make a move on Norris. He defends very harshly to the inside there, but we're going to try and go around the outside. We've got the tyre advantage. Norris still battling us here. We're going to just have to sit behind him, but that's fine. We can get the run out of the final corner. And even without DRS, with our superior engine power and plenty of ERS to use after the safety car, we are now up into P6. So that's a couple of positions made on the first lap of the safety after the safety car. Gasly now the car ahead, and then you've got the 2 Red Bulls as we're looking on the outside of Gasly here. Oh, it's all very, very close. He is right there looking at Verstappen. Verstappen's also going very defensive. We give Gasly a little bit of a nudge through the final corner, but once again we're just going to deploy the ERS, and look how quick we are in a straight line. Our car is still a rocket ship this season as we go, but we're now boxed in by Verstappen because Gasly's gone for a move on him, and this is just absolute crazy carnage in this race all around. Gasly makes Verstappen get a little bit caught out through turn 2. We sense an opportunity, get past the former, well, the double world champion, didn't win last season of course, and yeah, it is all kicking off here. Now Gasly is really making moves here on these newer tyres than everybody else, going for a move on George Russell, and he gets the bloody good move there round the outside. That's a very brave move for Pierre Gasly. And we're now going to try and get past Russell as well, who's looking quite slow on these hard compound tyres here. As we go round the outside of him, Russell though is going to try and fight us into the final corner there. He's there on the inside, but we have the grip on these soft compound tyres to just breeze past him. Now Sergio Perez is the car ahead, and we're going to have a look at him into turn 1. It's going to be 3 wide with Perez and Gasly heading into turn 1. Gasly gives us a bit of a squeeze. He's still there battling with Perez. We're now side by side with Perez. Gasly has gotten ahead and up into P2 in this race, and we're now up into P3. So Gasly is on for a podium here. It'll be his first podium with Alpine and his first podium in this career mode of ours. We're going to though blast around the outside of him on these soft compound tyres on lap 23, and as we head on to the penultimate lap of the race, Hamilton is now the only car ahead of us, standing in our way for for our second win in F1 23. As lap 23, we have Alonso spinning around again, just one that I picked up in the replay. He's completely on his own way at the back. Like I said, I think he spun more times than what I'm showing you, but I couldn't show you every time because we'd be here forever. As we're now looking at a move on Hamilton, we make a little bit of contact with the wall on the outside there, going into the hairpin. We couldn't quite get him because Gasly's actually really hounding us here as well. He's all over the back of us, and as we go for the move for the lead of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix, we will now take the lead into turn 1, but Pierre Gasly has also gone up to second, and you know what, he may be on hard compound tyres, but this is the last lap of the race now. Our tyres are just going to start going off, and Gasly's absolutely giving it everything to try and win this race, as the battle behind us is continuing with Lando Norris, Sergio Perez, Max Verstappen, and George Russell. Poor George Russell is going to fall off he's already fallen off the podium here. And as they head around the final corner, Norris is just trying to get ahead, but the two Red Bulls are now there as well, and it's going to be 4 wide, and they're going to stay 4 wide as they head through turn 1. This is ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. It's a Red Bull sandwich for the Mercedes and the McLaren, but Verstappen makes up 3 positions by going round the outside there. So Verstappen is now up into P4. That is good from him. He's just made up literally 3 positions in that corner. Tsunoda though is now in this battle as well, and he's trying to come back at these guys. There are so many cars so close together on this final lap here. We are just trying to defend from Gasly and Hamilton, but it's mainly Gasly, and look at the pace he's got. I mean, we're draining our battery here because he has the DRS. He's actually gone up the inside of us into the final corner. He leads, but we're going to have the better run out of the corner. We're also going to have the DRS, and we are going to go ahead to win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. It is the first round of Season 2, and we win the race. Great start to the season. What a hectic race. I don't know what was going on with Alonso, but that's the first race of the season done.
Anthony Davidson, how do you think they were able to set themselves apart today?
I really feel the track layout combined with the track temperatures we saw today suited their car. These cars come alive when the tyres are just at the right temperature, and the driver did a great job managing that as well. They just look so comfortable out there. It's like anything, it always looks so easy when it all just clicks.
Here comes your top 3 making their way down to the podium for what can only be described as a fantastic day for Formula 1.
So there we have it. We win the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. We're going to lead the championship because we're only 1 round down. But what a race that was. We didn't have a good qualifying. Our pace was decent, but I don't think we were quite there with Tsunoda. But Tsunoda had the issue, the red flag and the 2 safety cars, all caused by Alonso. Let me just get that straight. The red flag and both safety cars all caused by Alonso. That helped us out massively. We took the gamble onto the softs. I'm surprised that nobody else went for that strategy on the soft compounds on that second safety car, but especially Gasly, who was coming in anyway. He might as well have just gone onto softs because he started on mediums. Yeah, it just really worked out for us, and we've won the first race of the season in crazy fashion. 4 DNFs in the end, of course. Damage for Zhou Guan Yu and for Esteban Ocon. Bottas also DNF'd. I can't even remember why that was. And then Stroll had the mechanical failure. We lead the Constructors' Championship after round 1. It's then Mercedes 2nd, Red Bull 3rd, Alpine 4th, McLaren 5th, and Ferrari in 6th with only 1 point. They do at least scrounge 1 point from this race, but not the start that the championship leaders championship winners from last season would have wanted. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.